Hello class. In this video, we're going to go over how to divide decimals by decimals, meaning the dividend and the divisor are both going to have decimals. So a lot of it is similar to dividing decimals by whole numbers, which is similar to dividing the whole numbers by whole numbers, except we have an added step here. So before we go over that, I want you to pause the video, write your full heading in your notebook, including your first and last name, your date, mathematics, your period number, and the title of this assignment, Divide Decimals by Decimals. Now that we have that in there, let's look at an actual problem. So here we have 40 and 89 hundredths divided by 4 and 7 tenths. So when I'm looking at this, I do the same thing first. I'm going to create my house, and I'm going to write in there my dividend is inside the house, which is the 40 and 89 hundredths. And I'm going to write my dividend on the outside of 4 and 7 tenths. Now, when we're dividing with a divisor with a decimal, it can get very, very confusing. So the easiest way of doing that is to get rid of this decimal. And meaning I'm going to move this to the right to the end of the number. In this case, I only need to move it once to get to the end of the number. And what I do on one side, I always need to do on the other side. So if I only move it once here, I need to move it once here as well. Now with these lines, it can get a little confusing. If I had to move this 3 times, I move it 3 times. If I had to move this here twice, I move this here twice. In this problem, I only had to move it once, so I only moved it once here. And once I move them, I'm then going to rewrite these numbers with the new decimal places. So since I moved this one place to the right, this made this number instead of 4 and 7 tenths, it made it as 47. And moving it once here changed it from 40 and 89 hundredths to 408 and 9 tenths. So I'm going to rewrite that here. So the only difference that we have between dividing with a divisor with a decimal and without a decimal is this movement here. And this is how we moved it. If I multiplied the 4 and 7 tenths by 10, I get 47. And if I multiply one by 10, I have to multiply the other by 10. And that's why we're moving it. Once we've moved it, I now can do my regular division. And I look at it and I go, how many times does 47 go into 4? The answer is none. So I put a 0. 0 times 47 is a 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. So that part's similar. Then I bring down the next number, which in this case is a 0. Can 47 go into 40? It can in a decimal, but we don't want decimals right now. So we're going to say none. So I put it 0. 0 times 47 is 0. 40 minus 0 is 40. Then I bring down my next number. In this case, it's an 8. So now I have 408. How many times can 47 go into 408? And the answer is 8. You can do the multiplication on the side to check. You could also keep a running list, 47 times 1, 47 times 2, 47 times 3, and so forth on the side. But I know my multiplication facts, and 47 times 8 gives me 376. So I'm going to minus 376. 8 minus 6 gives me 2. 0 minus 7 I can't do, so this 4 becomes a 3. And this becomes a 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. And 3 minus 3 is 0, so I could put the 0 if I wanted to. It's up to you. Then I come and I go, I reached my decimal. And I just bring that straight on up. I don't move it. Just go straight on up, and I am done with it. Now I bring my next digit down. Now I have 329. How many times does 47 go into 329? Knowing my multiplication facts, I know it's 7 times. Because 7 times 47 is 329. So I minus 329. 329 minus 329 is 0. So I know that my solution here is going to be 8.7, pronounced 8 7/10. So basically, everything's the same as when I divided by a whole number with a decimal in my dividend, except that in the beginning, I had to move that decimal to make sure that it's a whole number. Remember, the number of spaces I moved here, I must move here. Any number of spaces I move here, I must move here. Okay? They must be balanced. I want you to take a moment, write down our expression, all of our work, and our solution in our notebooks. Now that we have that, let's look at another problem. So now I have 793 5/10 divided by 23 hundredths. So again, I'm going to start off by building my house. The dividend goes inside, and my divisor goes outside. Now again, I can't divide with the decimals, so I have to move them. To make this a whole number, I have to multiply it by 100 or move the decimal twice. So I have 1, 2. But I moved it twice here, so I must move it twice here. So I go 1, 2. But I don't have a digit here. If I don't have a digit here, that's okay. I can always add that 0, our lovely digit 0. And I'm just going to extend for less communication. And then I rewrite my house and I write the new numbers. So this became a 23 and this became 79,350. And then I would just divide the same exact way as I normally would. So 23 goes into 7 0 times. 0 times 23 is 0. So 7 minus 0 is 7. Then I move down the 9. How many times does 23 go into 79? That's 3 times, because 3 times 23 is 69. So I have 79 minus 69 is going to give me 10. Then I bring down the next digit, which is a 3. How many times does 23 go into 103? And the answer is 4, because 4 times 23 is 92. So I'm going to minus 92. 103 minus 92 is going to give me 11, right? 3 minus 2 is 1. This becomes a 0. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 gives me 1. Then I bring down the next digit, which is a 5. And I need to figure out how many times does 23 go into 115. And I know that that is 5 times, because 5 times 23 is 115. 115 minus 115 is 0. But I'm not done. Be very careful with this, because even though this says a 0, I'm not done because I have another digit here. Remember that digit we had to add? And then I go, how many times does 23 go into 0, which is 0? And 0 minus 0 is 0. But because this is a 0 and there's nothing here, I am done now. And I know that my solution is going to equal 3,450. And then I circle my final answer. So remember, we're just moving the digits twice, the decimal twice here. So I must move it twice here. Remember, the number of times I move it here, I have to move it the same number here. I want you to pause the video now, write down our equation, our expression, all of our work, and our final answer in our notebooks. Now that we have in our notebooks and we've done 2 examples, I want you to try 2 on your own. Okay, here are the 2. Don't forget that you need to show all of your work. So you have 97 2/10 divided by 2 7/10. And here you have 79 and 8/10 divided by 1 and 4/10. So in each one of these, you're going to have to move the decimal one time. And remember, what you do to the number on the outside, you must do it to the same as the inside. If you need to look at the problems that we've done, you may do so. You also may watch this video as many times as you need to. Make sure you show all of your work. Even if you are confused, show what you think that you need to do so that we can figure out where the confusion is.